Oh boy, there's a lot to talk about in this one. Let's get started. So here's how Chapter 424 went down. We open with reconstruction because Japan looks like a burnt out pile of rubble in dire need of rebuilding. Oh, and Koichi from the Vigilante series finally makes an appearance in this scene. Thank goodness for Quirks because the characters estimate this would take at least 10 years to rebuild without them. Sheesh. Then we cut to Bakugo in a hospital bed. Bakugo needs a mechanical arm because the one he had was reduced to what essentially was burnt powder. Bakugo won't do that because his quirk, comes out of his sweat glands in the palms of his hands. The doctors are concerned about another thing, though. His heart. Yeah, just because Edshot repaired it doesn't mean he should strain himself with it because he only has this second chance. The doctors were actually surprised that he was able to bolt so far away, just like right after surgery with his heart that Edshot performed. But yeah, good luck for Bakugo in rehab, which he'll be doing. Then we learn who Deku ends up with. It's the hospital bed. Deku X hospital bed for the win. Deku is pretty mangled, even having half his head covered in bandages. They had to do surgery on him. But misery loves company. All Might is right next to him in the same hospital room. Deku laments that while he did get Tenko to let go of his anger, Tenko still died as the leader of the League of Villains. All Might does assure him that he did save Tenko's heart and isn't that what matters. And while Deku did use the embers of One for All against, well, All for One for All still remains within Deku, albeit in a reduced form within the embers. That moment between All Might and Deku is interrupted by Bakugo. What essentially follows is that Bakugo and Midoriya have a look how far our relationship has progressed moment right here. However, Deku narrates that things didn't immediately go back to normal after the final war arc. We get some panels with Uraraka and Todoroki. The last panel is a shot of the half-reconstructed UA High School with Deku, Ida, and Kaminari in the focus of the shot. Deku has the worst haircut ever, but I guess it makes sense because, well, he was in a hospital bed where they had to probably shave him in order to operate on all the brain damage he got out of this. It's pretty clear that this is less of a one-off epilogue and more like a start of an epilogue arc. Horikoshi said he did want to put the Academia in My Hero Academia recently. And clearly he's setting up something, because you don't give shots to Uraraka and Todoroki with narration saying things didn't go back to normal immediately. Special mention goes to Todoroki. Come on, we all want to know what happened to your family after the aftermath of dealing with their giant pile of ashes loosely constructed into a humanoid form called, well, Toya Todoroki. Then there are characters like Spinner who need to be dealt with. Spinner is basically a melted brain madman. Society will probably hate mutant Quirk people more now because a giant mutant like Spinner did cause chaos in the name of All for One. Then there's also the implications of Hero Society as a whole. The Hero Public Safety Commission pretty much used dirty and corrupt tactics to preserve the image of Hero Society, mainly assassinating people in their homes. Hell, All for One had spies within the civilian population. What happened to them? The throne of the Demon King who ruled Japan is now empty. Are we sure that no one is actually going to try to claim that throne? Because I doubt criminals are the type to just simply get scared and surrender to the next generation of heroes. They're going to try to go back into the shadows and try to, well, gain as much power now that the big bad is dead. Hell, who were All for One's lieutenants and warlords? I doubt all of them have been captured. He had a ton of operatives. Are we sure that they're not just going to become like Sith Lords and try to do this always to their master and the apprentice and try to take over Japan that way? Actually, that sounds like a cool premise for a sequel manga. In terms of Uraraka, her parents must be making bank off of all the destruction considering they own a construction company. She'll probably be rolling in cash by the end of this series. Aoyama is probably going to go to jail for all this, considering he did help spy for All for One. Granted, he was coerced, and so were his parents, but at the same time, yeah, not great. I don't know, maybe he'll get pardoned. Not sure how Japan handles pardons. Not sure how fictional Japan handles pardons either. A national diet is probably going to owe a lot of countries a lot of money now that a lot of heroes are flying in from all over helping them rebuild. Considering Deku's dad is an overseas worker, I'm hoping he booked the next flight to Japan after this whole incident blew over, mainly because it will look very scummy if he didn't immediately look at his family and say, okay, what the hell? Am I actually going to have a family to come back to? Especially since his son was probably on international news punching out All for One. I mean, really? Really? About the One for All embers, I guess that Deku can still be a hero with them, because we did see All Might had used them. I'm honestly wondering how long Nana had used them while she gave One for All to All Might. It's interesting to see this. I'm not sure we'll fully explore the implications of Deku's hero career basically running shorter, especially since he probably can't have the physicality to do a lot of the tricks he used to, considering that he did mangle himself fighting All for One. This epilogue is probably going to be less of a singular epilogue and more of an epilogue arc dedicated to 1. Padding out the volume to justify its existence, and 2. Well, we have a lot of loose ends to go over. I only covered a few of them. We have a lot more to go through. Those are just my scattered thoughts on the matter. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.